At number 10 now, the sound of a black hole. Edward Morgan from MIT collected X-ray data on a distant black hole, then transmitted it into a sound that is audible to humans. The original of this is about 1,000,000 billion times deeper than anything you could ever hear, the deepest note in the universe in fact. But with a little bit of tweaking, here is a sound of an actual black hole, and it's terrifying.
Moving on to number 9, we have the wow signal. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then smash that like button because it really helps us out. Also, don't know what that was, but hit the like button for me, thanks. On the night of August 15th, 1977, an Ohio State University radio telescope received a quite fascinating signal. The signal lasted 72 seconds and it was intense. More intense than anything in the sky that night. Now the signal did not repeat, and over the years people have tried to find it again, but all attempts have failed. It was like a one-off. The signal is said to have come from deep space, in an area that is relatively free of noise from other objects. Now it was given the name the wow signal because when reviewing the data, Jerry Amen was so shocked by it that he wrote wow next to it. Still to this day we have no clue what caused the signal, but it was pretty significant. Wow, Owen Wilson, wow. Moving on to number 8, we have the Soyuz 11. On June 6, 1971, 3 Soviet cosmonauts launched into space. Their goal was to make a record for the longest time spent in space. Sadly, the mission failed and they became the first people to die in space. While in space, their breathing ventilation valve ruptured. All 3 sadly died from decompression. The last message they sent to Earth was them trying to scream for help, but they couldn't, so all they heard was them gasping for air and then weird popping sounds, which is from the air in their lungs expanding from the drop in air pressure and being exposed to the vacuum of space. The worst part? The spacecraft survived re-entry into Earth and landed perfectly, but when the hatch was open, they found the dead crew inside, their faces filled with dark blue splotches and blood dripping from their ears and noses. Moving on to number 7, we have the 13 signals. Back in 2019, the Chime Observatory in British Columbia, Canada picked up a very strange signal. They observed 13 of the same signals. These are what they call FRBs, or fast radio bursts. You're probably like, psh, okay, what's the big deal? Well, all of the 13 bursts came from the same location and they were 1.5 billion light years from Earth. And detecting that is super uncommon. It's only been seen once before. So 13 at the same location and time, that's suspicious. A number of people think that it was someone or something signaling for help. Could it be life on another planet? Aliens? Who knows? In our 6th spot today we have the pattern. This next signal is pretty terrifying, and that's because it appears like clockwork. So basically the signal will chime for 4 days, then after the 4th day it stops making that weird noise. It stops for 12 days before picking up again and doing the same thing over and over again. It's thought that maybe on the days where it's not sending a signal towards us, it's actually sending a signal in another direction. Some believe that this is coming from aliens or other life forms, whereas others think that it's a star sending out radio waves and then orbiting by something that could be blocking the signal for 12 days and then returning to a position where we can hear it. It's just incredibly mysterious and we don't know what to make of it. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the mysterious flashes, another very strange and mysterious signal that we have yet to figure out. So astronomers have detected a signal that will beam to Earth for 90 days before being silent for 67 days. They noticed that this pattern would repeat every 157 days. Its cycle is that precise. The signal is being sent from a distant galaxy and this pattern has been happening since 2016. Furthermore, the signal is quite strong. It unleashes as much energy as our sun does in a century in just a few milliseconds. Like, what the actual hell is going on? Theory goes that aliens have created a powerful machine that has the capability of sending out this strong signal, but then it needs 157 days to recharge itself before continuing on. But who knows? In our 4th spot today we have the eerie sounds. This is quite possibly one of the creepiest things I have ever heard. So NASA decided to gather all of the creepy sounds that they have ever heard and put it all together on SoundCloud for us to enjoy. clearly sounds like aliens communicating with each other or something like that. NASA refers to these sounds as moans and whistles from the universe. Isn't that just great? Moving on to number 3, we have the pulse of radio waves. Just recently on April 28, 2020, 2 telescopes detected an intense pulse of radio waves. Now the signal only lasted for a millisecond, but astronomers were blown away by this and said it's a major discovery. Why? Well, this is the first time a fast radio burst has ever been detected so close to Earth. The signal came from the Milky Way. In fact, Chime wasn't even looking for it, but it was so loud and clear that they caught it anyways. They said that this burst is helping them discover what these things are and where they're coming from. Maybe we'll find out if there's aliens out there sooner than we thought. Moving on to number 2, we have the lost cosmonaut. A lot of people refer to this next story as an urban legend, but with the facts I'm about to provide you with, it might just change your mind. So legend goes that back in the 1950s to 60s, 2 brothers were working as amateur radio operators. One day they were listening in on space when they heard what sounded like a cosmonaut returning to Earth's orbit. They managed to record her final moments. Her spacecraft was malfunctioning, and in the recording the woman speaking in Russian is pleading for help, saying it's getting hot, because the craft was burning up. Turns out that her spacecraft caught on fire and she was frantically sending messages hoping someone would hear it and somehow help her. But the Soviet Union just sent her up there and left her to die. Now the Soviets denied this, saying that it was an unmanned craft that burned. But the thing is, a lot of cosmonauts died during the space race, and they refused to reveal a number of those deaths. Half the time they would just cover them up. So this recording could be real. And in our number 1 spot today we have the final words. In 1967, Soviet test pilot, aerospace engineer, and cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov was sent into space on the Soyuz 1. However, the mission did not go according to plan and the spacecraft was extremely faulty. But Vladimir didn't really have a say in going on this mission. He kind of felt forced to do so. He said that if he didn't go, then the backup pilot would have had to go, which was his best friend, and he said he didn't want to do that to his friend, so he went and sacrificed his life instead. He knew the mission was going to fail, and he was right. Once he began to orbit Earth, a number of issues began to happen, such as the antennas not opening up properly. The worst came to him on his re-entry into Earth. On April 24th, 1967, during his re-entry, the parachutes failed to open. The signals he sent to Earth were haunting. On his way down, translators heard him say heat was rising in the capsule. He then began to curse the people who put him inside of this botched spaceship, saying they killed him. His final moments were him cursing and crying in rage. Imagine hearing that and listening to a man's final words. It's very haunting.
Starting us off at number 10, we have the sounds of Saturn. Ever since Earth's Voyager flew by, researchers have noted the cosmic storms that take place on Jupiter. There is proof of lightning and other storm-like qualities that can be heard through the crackling picked up by NASA's Cassini spacecraft. In December of 2016, as Cassini crossed Saturn's rings, it picked up all these cool and wicked sounding cosmic storm sounds. This is a case where we know exactly where this sound and signal were coming from, but to hear a cosmic storm or have a bit of evidence to what it even sounds like on Saturn, that's pretty cool. Probably wicked scary down there, but still cool nonetheless.
Coming out at number 9, we have the lost cosmonaut. In 1961, 2 Italian brothers recorded a signal from space which they claimed was from a secret Soviet space mission. It sounded like a female cosmonaut who was in distress while trying to orbit the Earth. Something had apparently gone wrong. She was complaining of feeling hot as she burned up in the atmosphere. Now the Russians announced that an unmanned craft had burned up in the atmosphere and denied they had any knowledge of the lost cosmonaut. At the number 8 spot now, we have Tabby's star. This mysterious star was discovered by amateur astronomers and found to be about 1,400 light years from Earth. The strange thing was, the brightness of it would dip by 22% for days at a time. Some suggested it was a Dyson sphere, a theoretical alien structure that would enclose a whole star to harvest all of its power. For many years it's been just a sci-fi idea, but Tabby's star seemed to fit this theory very well. At the time of recording, scientists are still carrying out further studies. Coming in at number 7 now, we have 234 stars. In 2016, Canadian astronomers found something very strange within the Milky Way. 234 stars that were blinking at exactly the same rate. Eric Trottier, the astronomer who found this, proposed that the signal was just too much of a coincidence. He thought it was of alien origin. He said that the pulsating signals were caused by an alien civilization flashing a laser in our direction, causing a faint but detectable blip in their star's light. The stars could even be 234 different civilizations pulling together to try and contact us. Moving on to number 6 now, we have the sound of Saturn. In 2002, the Cassini spacecraft passed by the gas giant of Saturn. It listened to the planet's aurora, caused by its huge magnetic field. The signal was way out of human hearing, so they slowed it right down, they compressed it, and this is what they heard. Alright, moving on to number 5 now, we have the Lorimer burst. This signal was detected in 2007 after astronomers dug through 6 years of previous data. Then, they found it. It was a very brief burst of radio emission, just 5 milliseconds in total. The area it came from was 5 to 11 billion light years away from Earth. This means that when the signal left its origin, Earth hadn't even been formed yet, which is mind-blowing. Scientists were shocked to find that whatever made this signal released more energy in that short burst than the sun does in 4 months. Moving on to number 4 now, we have this. It's a very weird name, but it has an incredible story behind it. Scientists detected this signal from an empty area of space with no stars or planet systems near it for about 1,000 light years, from an area between the constellations of Pisces and Aries, and yet a signal came. It was detected as being a short burst at about 1420 megahertz. That's one of the main frequencies at which hydrogen, the most common element in the universe, absorbs and emits energy. Scientists have often thought of using this to contact any aliens out there, and so when we received it, it's drawn a lot of attention. Coming in at number 3 now, we have frequency 4462.3. This signal came from a star only 100 light years from us, and it was a star quite similar to our own. It's called TYC 1220911, and it was nothing out of the ordinary until it did something. The noise it made was just 10 seconds long, but now that it's been adjusted so we can hear it, it's very scary and creepy. Tell me what you think of it. At number 2, we have the cosmic roar. In 2006, a group of California astronomers were trying to detect the very first stars in the universe. Instead, they heard a radio wave roar. What they heard was 6 times louder than the faint signal they expected to detect. In fact, this roar was 6 times greater than the combined emission of all known radio wave sources. And this wasn't the sound of the Big Bang, it was the sound of something mysterious from the start of the universe, something more intense than we've ever encountered. And finally now at number 1, we have the wow signal. What else could it be, really? In 1977, Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope detected the strangest signal ever heard from space. It came from the Sagittarius constellation, and many scientists thought that it sounded like it could be of extraterrestrial origin. It lasted for 72 seconds, and then it was never heard of again. The astronomer who found the signal was so shocked by it that they wrote "wow" in the margin, giving us its name. Now it's been adjusted like some of the other ones so that we can hear it, and this is what it sounds like.
Starting off this countdown, we have the alien signal. Back in 2016, we received a signal from a nearby star, and some people believe that it was sent by aliens. So the star is in the constellation Hercules. It's about 95 light years away, which seems far. 'cause it is, but it's relatively close according to the universe's scale. Anyways, this star is said to have at least one planet, and it's roughly the size of Neptune, and it's thought to have the right conditions to support life. So could this planet have life on it? Who knows? But let's talk about this signal. It was so strong that they believed it came from a Kardashev Type 2 civilization. A Type 1 civilization can use and store energy from a nearby star like us, whereas Type 2 can harness the energy from the entire star, meaning it makes that planet more advanced. So it may just be that the signal was sent from extremely advanced life forms.
At number 9, we have sounds of Jupiter. Over the span of its 20 years mission in space, NASA's Cassini spacecraft made a quick pit stop near Jupiter to get a gravitational boost. During its pit stop, the craft actually picked up some radio waves from Jupiter too. And basically what I mean is that they were able to hear what it sounds like on Jupiter. It is very alien-like and different. Along with that, the sound of a Jupiter bow shock was picked up too. The bow shock is the sound that occurs when the sun emits a steady stream of solar wind which is repelled by a string magnetic force. When the two meet, they are converted into thermal energy and make this bow shock reaction. So even though just like our number 10 spot we know where it's coming from, it still makes it quite a little bit scary. Coming in at number 8, we have a mysterious Puerto Rico signal. Back in 2003, researchers from SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, operated a gigantic telescope in Puerto Rico to examine 200 sections of the sky and re-examine areas where they at one point had detected unknown radio signals. During this operation, they noticed that all former radio signals that were once detected were gone. All gone except for one. Not only did this one last signal hang in there, but it had actually gotten even stronger than before. It was coming from in between the constellations of Pisces and Aries, but there's something really strange about that. That is that this is a location that is not known to have planets or stars. So where the freaking hell is this signal coming from? The signal was at a frequency that hydrogen absorbs and creates energy. One of the most basic elements on Earth is hydrogen, so some suspected that it could be a sign of alien life, but once again, as well with most of the others on our list, who the heck knows? At number 7, we have light shifts. In the latter half of 2015, Jason Wright, an astronomer from Penn State, claimed that there were erratic and spontaneous shifts in light coming from a newly discovered star. This star is 1,280 light years away from Earth, and these light shifts were similar to the kind of shift that occurs when something passes in front of a star. Interestingly enough, scientists weren't able to connect this back to any other exoplanet, which is what led Wright to his theory that it could have been a large object or objects like satellites passing in front with the same effect. You know, it doesn't have to be satellites either. It could be Tic Tacs or pyramid-shaped UFOs too. Just saying, you know, because I'm pulling for our alien friends. Coming in at number 6, we have the WOW signal. Back in August of 1977, a radio telescope at Ohio State University detected quite this strange signal. The radio was able to pick up a pulse of radiation that seemed to have been coming from near the constellation of Sagittarius. What's funny is that this signal lasted 37 seconds long, and this signal has become known as the WOW signal. Why? Well, because they were so shocked at the timely length of the signal that there was only one word to describe it, and that was wow. The printout of the telescope was shocking because it was in a band of radio frequencies that are actually banned here on Earth. While many scientists are still skeptical that this was maybe a signal or sign of alien life, you can never rule it out. In science, it should always be the case to study every possible scientific outcome, no matter how crazy. The nearest star from the signal was 220 million light years away, so this is a toughie. So tough that even since 1977, we still don't have the answer. So maybe it's our super smart alien friends after all? Coming in at our halfway point at number 5, we have a zombie star. Yeah, a star that is filled with zombies. All along we thought aliens were real and zombies were fake. We had it all bass-ackwards. I'm just kidding. But back in April of 2020, one of the signals that scientists got back amongst our number 1 spot, so keep watching, came from our own Milky Way galaxy. But this one specific and incredibly strong signal is said to be so strong that it could be picked up on any 4G cell phone at the time. It is also not fully proven, but believed that this signal came from a magnetar, a scientific cosmic name for a zombie star basically. And what do I mean by that? Well, when a star dies, it blows up into a supernova and then afterward collapses into a dense ball. If it becomes dense enough, then it becomes a black hole, and if not, then it turns into a neutron star. A magnetar is a just a more powerful version of a neutron star, basically. So it is possible that this strong signal came from the stars of yesterday, a lot of yesterdays ago. At number 4, we have a beam from Proxima Centauri. Back in 2019 in New South Wales, Australia, scientists claimed they have discovered a mysterious beam that appeared to be from the Earth's closest star to the Sun, Proxima Centauri. This is a rather small star and is only around 4.2 light years away from us, which if you ask me still sounds pretty far away, but oh well. This star has an interesting exoplanet that is filled with rocks and is 17% larger than Earth's in its own habitable zone. You know what that means? Water is a possibility on the planet. And you know what that means? Where there is water, there is life. Scientists said that the signal shifted while it was being recorded because of the movement of the planet. And it is not fully explained or known how or why the planet was shifting, but I will tell you one thing, if water is actually there, then we already have our answer. It's aliens, people! Starting us off in our top 3, at number 3 we have HD 164595. How easy of a title is that? Which, by the way, is a name for a planet. Yeah, what a great name. I think it might be Scottish. Anyway, back in 2015, a Russian telescope detected a strong signal from a sun-like star named HD 164595. This star is located in the Hercules constellation and is 95 light years away and is 99% the size of Earth's sun. It has one planet that is the size of Neptune and has a 40-day year. Researchers at SETI, once again, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, have not been able to identify where the signal had come from. Claudio Maccone of the University of Turin in Italy told The Guardian back in 2015, "The power of the signal received is not unrealistic for Type 1 civilizations." Now, what is a Type 1 civilization? Well, basically Earth. So maybe we have Earth-like friends sending us little love notes here and there just from an oddly named star, and if they do live there and exist, I really hope they have a better name for that one other than what us Earthlings gave it. Coming in at number 2, we have the repeating radio burst. Mysterious signals and sounds from space have been known to repeat all the time, but for the first time ever, researchers have noticed a pattern in a series of bursts coming from one source 500 million light years from Earth. Usually these fast radio bursts, or FRBs, are sporadic and untelling, but between September 16th, 2018 and October 30th, 2019, researchers up here in Canada recorded these bursts every 16.35 days. Over the duration of 4 days, this signal would release 2 bursts each hour and then go silent for 12 days. If they're coming in specific patterns, don't you think that means they are coming from another intelligent life source? I sure as hell do. And finally, coming in at number 1 is a signal that is coming to us from our very own Milky Way galaxy. On April 28th of 2020, 2 ground-based radio telescopes detected intense pulse and radio waves from outer space. While it only lasted for a millisecond, for Earth's astronomers, this is huge. This was the very first time a fast radio burst was ever recorded this close to Earth. It was only 30,000 light years away from Earth. Yeah, pretty close, right? I mean, the Canadian Hydro Intensity Mapping Experiment and the Survey for Transient Astronomical Radio Emissions, say that 2 times fast, or CHIME and STARE for short, had no problems whatsoever picking up this millisecond signal. What makes this really exciting is that Earth scientists are getting closer and closer to tracking down where these FRBs are coming from. And now to finally have one from our very own Milky Way galaxy, that's a mega win. Maybe we aren't just alone. Maybe we even have galactic neighbors closer than we originally thought.